This is the example on nth derivative. Function is log of under root a plus x upon a minus x. That is log of a plus x upon a minus x. Its power half. It is under root. So you can take half here. Half log of a plus x minus a minus x. That is, it is log of a plus x minus log of a minus x. That is, this is a property of logarithm. Log of m upon n is log of m minus log of n. So it is half log of a plus x minus half log of a minus x. We want nth derivative of y. So we find nth derivative of these two expressions. To differentiate n times with respect to x, we get. What is the formula? Log of, if y is log of ax plus b, its nth derivative is given by this formula minus 1 raised to n minus 1, n minus 1 factorial, 1 upon ax plus b raised to n, and a raised to n. Now a is a coefficient of x. Here coefficient of x is 1 in both. Sorry, here it is 1, here it is minus 1. So we first apply this formula to a plus x, where coefficient of x is 1 here. So when x is 1, we get 1 raised to 1 equal to 1. So this will be 1. What is the derivative of log ax plus b? Minus 1 raised to n minus 1, then n minus 1 factorial, then a raised to n. A means coefficient of x is 1, so its power n means 1, divided by the factor raised to n. Factor is a plus x, its power n, minus half, and nth derivative of half log of a minus x. Now again it is a log function. So this is a formula, minus 1 raised to n minus 1. These are the common factor. Now coefficient of x is minus 1. So we want a raised to n. So it should be minus 1 raised to n. So this is the answer. Only this is a change here. Instead of plus 1, the factor is minus 1 raised to n. Now minus 1 raised to n, minus 1 raised to n, you can add these two, or get twice n, minus 1 raised to n. This is minus 1 raised to n minus 1, and this is plus n. So the resultant is twice n minus 1. So twice n can be simplified as minus 1 square, its power n, minus 1. Minus 1 square is plus 1, and any power of 1 is 1. So it is 1 minus 1, it is 0. So this resultant is 0. Minus 1 raised to 0. Sorry, just a minute. Minus 1 raised to, this is n minus 1 plus n, twice n minus 1. These are the powers of minus 1. So minus 1 raised to twice n minus 1. So what we will do, it is minus 1 raised to twice n and minus into minus 1 raised to minus 1. Now we simplify this minus 1 square x power n into this we write as a minus 1 in the denominator. Now minus 1 square is plus 1, x power n is 1 and 1 upon minus 1 is minus 1. So resultant is minus 1. So when we simplify this, we get minus 1. So minus 1 and this minus half, it will be plus 1. So don't take common this. This is a coefficient with this is a coefficient of 1 upon ax a plus x raised to n. What is the coefficient of 1 upon ax plus raised to n? This is half minus 1 raised to n minus 1 n minus 1 factorial. So this is a coefficient of 1 upon ax plus 1 upon a plus x raised to n. For the second factor, same is taken common, minus half minus 1 raised to n minus 1 n minus 1 factorial, this is taken common, and this minus sign with this factor is 1 upon a minus x raised to n. This is the additional factor. This is additional factor here because here a is minus 1. So this is the example. There is a slight change in this answer. Why there is a change? Because I have taken plus 1 here. Instead of plus 1, it is minus 1. Minus 1 raised to n. So this factor will be there, minus 1 raised to n. This is the only change. And rest of the thing is simple. We have to use this formula. Log of ax plus b equal to, this is the formula. There are 4 terms. Minus 1 raised to n minus 1, n minus 1 factorial, a raised to n upon ax plus b raised to n. So we have used this formula. These are the 4 terms. Minus 1 raised to n minus 1, n minus 1 factorial, and minus 1. In the first term, coefficient of x is 1. So this we get 1 here, but in the second it is minus 1. A minus x. So coefficient of x is minus 1 here. So we have to add this term. This is the only change. Next example. Sine cube x. Find out nth derivative. Now we don't have any formula to find nth derivative of sine cube x. Direct formula is not available. So whatever formula, which formula we have derived the formula for sin x plus b, cos x plus b. So we want this format, sin x, sin 3x, sin x, like this. So we convert it first to that format. So we can write it as sin x into sin square x. This half is common, and it is 1 sin square x is 1 minus 2x upon 2. This half we take, the constant is common. Then it is sin x multiply by sin x into 1 is sin x. Then this is sin x into 1, it is sin x. Then sin x into cos 2x is this term. Right. Now we want sin x cos 2x. Sin x cos 2x. So expand sin of a plus b, that is sin of x plus 2x, using the expansion of sin a plus b. So we get sin a cos b, sin of x cos twice x plus cos x sin 2x. Similarly, this expansion of sin a minus b, that is sin of x minus 2x, is sin x cos 2x minus cos x sin 2x. Now we want sin x into cos 2x. This is a term we want, sin x into cos 2x. So add this. When you add, this second term get cancelled. Cos x plus sin 2x, cos x sin 2x plus and cos x sin 2x minus. this get cancelled. This addition is 2 times sin x cos 2x. And on the left hand side, we get sine of x plus 2x, that is 3x, plus sine of x minus 2x is minus x. And sine of minus theta is minus sine theta. So we write this as minus sine x, right? So this is sine 3x minus sine x equal to 2 sine x cos x. Now take this 2 on this side. So we get half sine 3x minus sine x equal to sine x into cos x. Sine x into cos 2x. So this is the value of sine x into cos 2x. Put this value here in equation 1. So we get y equal to sine cube x. It is equal to first term is half sine x as it is minus 1 upon 2. Minus 1 upon 2 into this product sine x cos 2x. Now this half is also common. So this half with this minus half, we get this one of the term is minus half and another term is plus half. Plus half is from this expression sin x cos 2x. Half is there. So minus half into half is minus 1 upon 4, and inside bracket we get sin 3x sin x, sin 3x minus sin x. Now multiply by minus 1 upon 4. Minus 1 upon 4 sin 3x. This minus minus is plus 1 upon 4 sin x. So now this sin x and this sin x, half plus 1 upon 4. It is, make it 4. So it is 2 multiply by 2, 2 upon 4 plus 1 upon 4, that is, it is 3 by 4. So this is 3 by 4 sin x, this half and 1 by 4, minus 1 upon 4 sin 3. Now differentiate n time. Now we can differentiate this term. Instead of sin cube x, differentiate this term n times. So we get it. Now what is the nth derivative of sin ax plus b? It is a raised to n into sin ax plus b n times pi by 2. You have to add this and multiply with a raised to. Now first put b equal to 0. So we get sin ax. Its nth derivative is a raised to n sin ax, because b is 0. It is n times pi by 2. So use this formula here, 3 by 4. Now what is the derivative of sin x? That is a is 1 here. When a is 1, 1 raised to n is 1. Then derivative is sin of ax plus b. That is, here it is ax plus b means x, sin x, plus this is a factor, add n times pi by 2. So we add n times pi by 2, x plus n times pi by 2. This is the nth derivative of sin x. Minus 1 upon 4. What is the nth derivative of sin 3x? Here, what is the value of a sin ax? A is 3. So apply this formula, 3 raised to a raised to n means 3 raised to n, sin 3x, and add n times pi by 2. So this is, here a is 3, a is 1, here a is 3. And this is a solution. So sin cube x cannot be differentiated n times directly. We first simplify and obtain its value in terms of sin x and sin 3x and use the formula for sin ax plus b. Now next theorem is an important theorem, Leibniz theorem. What it gives? It gives you, we know this derivative of the product first function derivative of second plus second function derivative of first. So this is a nth first derivative. Now we want nth derivative of u into v, and nth derivative of u into v is given by this expression. So what is the Leibniz theorem? The terms are like this. This is nc0, nc1, nc2, nc3 and so on up to ncn. So from 0 to n. un means nth derivative of u, function v as it is. Then decrease the suffix of u by 1. So un minus 1. Increase the suffix of second by 1. So in the first we decrease, in the second we increase. So here we get un minus 1, here we get v1, again decrease, here we get un minus 2, here increase the suffix, we get v2, and so on. General term is this, n minus r vr, this is un minus r vr. And last term will be, when you decrease it by n, finally it becomes 0. So from 0 means 0th derivative, that means function as it is. And here we begin with v0, that is actually is original function. Then the derivative of v, v1, v2, v3 and so on up to vn. So this is a Leibniz rule. And what are the values? Values for this? This is a formula, NCR means factorial n, then r factorial, and difference of n and r factorial. And when you simplify this, you can simplify it. So the other values are this. After simplification, nc0 is 1, nc1 is n, nc2 is n minus 1 factorial 2. That means if it is 2, we get 2 terms here divided by factorial 2. nc3 contains 3 terms, n minus 1, n minus 2 divided by factorial 3, and so on. NCN for any value is 1. So these are the values we are going to use. This is the original formula. And in this formula, you can substitute r equal to 1, r equal to 2, r equal to 3, and you will get these values. Now, first value is 1, last value is 1. NC0 is 1, NCN is 1. All right. And in the, when we simplify or when we derive this theorem, or when we give a proof, we require this result. What is it? N is same on the left hand side. This is NC, R minus 1 and R. There are 2 terms, NCR minus 1 and NCR. R minus 1 and R. So if you add here, n, value of n increases by 1, it becomes n plus 1. And out of these 2, we select larger value, that is R minus 1 and R, we select R. This is the result which we require in the proof. Now, we prove this result using the principle of mathematical induction or finite induction. There are 2 steps in this proof. The first step is prove that this result is true for n equal to 1. So first step, we prove it is for n equal to 1. Second step, we assume that P of m is true. That means this statement is true for certain value m. And this is called hypothesis or assumption. We assume this, that theorem is true for m, and using this assumption show that theorem is true for next value m plus 1. These are the 2 steps. In the first step, we prove that it is true for n equal to 1. Now, second step says that if it is true for 1, it is true for next value. In the first step, we have shown that it is true for 1. So if it is true for 1, it is true for next value. Then it is true for 2. If it is true for 2, then it is true for next value. That is, it will be true for 3. If it is true for 3, then it will also true for next value 4 and so on. In this way, it is true for all values of n. This is called principle of mathematical induction. So first step is show that theorem is true for n equal to 1. So let us put n equal to 1 in this. This is a result of Leibniz theorem. N is equal to 1. Look at the last value. When n is 1, we want last term will be 1c1. 1c1. So put n equal to 1. So here n is equal to 1. First derivative of u into v is given by. First value is here 1c0. It begins with 1c0 because n is 1. 1c0 last will be 1c1. So 1c0 next will be 1c1. Look at the term nc0, nc1, nc2. So we begin with 0 and up to n. So here begin with 0 and last term is n. N is 1 here. So 1c0 and 1c1. There will be only 2 terms. Now here n is 1. So we get u1v. Here we get u1v. Now second term, there are only 2 terms. Put n equal to 1. Use 0. Use 0 means functions as it is. Use 0 means 0th derivative. So function as it is. So don't find any derivative. U into v1. So u into v1. So what is the final? 1c0. This value is 1 for any n. nc0 is 1 and ncn is also 1. That means if I put n equal to 1, 1c0 is 1 and 1c1 is 1. So 1c0 is 1, 1c1 is also 1. So we get u1v and u into v1. So write down this term first, u into v1 here and v into u1 here. So same. Now what is the meaning? u1 means first derivative of uv. On the right hand side, v1 means first derivative of v. u1 means first derivative of u. So it is u into derivative of v plus v into derivative of u. So this is a product rule and it is true. So this statement reduces to this form and it is true. This is a formula to find first derivative of the product u into v. So we say that this statement is true for n equal to 1. This is the first step in mathematical induction. Statement is true for p equal to 1 because first derivative is given by this formula. And this general statement of Leibniz theorem, from this statement, when we put n equal to 1, we get this result. And this is a rule for multiplication to find first derivative. So that means it is the same as this statement is the same as this formula for n equal to 1 and this is a result on derivative. This we know that first derivative is given by this expression. So we say that Leibniz theorem is true for n equal to 1. Now second step is assume that given statement is true for certain value of m. So we assume that. What is the meaning? Mth derivative is given by this formula. How we get this formula? Wherever we have n, replace this n by m. So we get mc0, mc1, mc2 up to mcm. Here we begin with um minus 1 and finally we get u here. Here we start with v1, v2 up to vm. So this is true. That is mth derivative is given by this expression is true. This is our assumption, right? So we have assumed that the statement is true for n equal to m. That means here we write mc0, mc1, mc2 up to mcm. This is a expression when we put n equal to m. So we first suffix is m minus 1, m minus 2 up to 0, and what are the suffixes for v1, v2 up to vm. So we assume that mth derivative is given by this statement. This is our assumption or it is called hypothesis. Now we want to show that it is if it is true, mth derivative is given by this m plus 1th derivative. That means if the statement is true for m, it is also true for next value m plus 1. And now what is m plus 1? This is we have written for m, write down similar statement for m plus 1, we get p of m plus 1. But don't write it directly. What we get if I put n equal to m plus 1, you will get this result. Here we get m plus 1 c0, m plus 1 c1, m plus 1 c2, up to m plus 1 c, m plus 1. This is a result for m plus 1. But don't write it directly. We have to obtain it from this assumption, which is the m at derivative. We have to obtain m plus 1 at derivative. So how we get next derivative? Differentiate this m at derivative one time. We will differentiate, we will get m plus 1 at derivative. That is, from this assumption, we will obtain the next expression. So differentiate this equation 2 with respect to x. So this is a symbol for m at derivative. Here, when we differentiate, it will become m plus 1 at derivative. All right. Equal to, now differentiate right hand side. On the right hand side, we have these values mc0, mc1, mc2, mcm. These are the constant. Now, in every term, there are two functions. U and V are functions of x. So we have to differentiate this product using the product rule. What is the product rule? Product rule is first function into derivative of second. So what is the first function here? We will differentiate this mc0 as it is. First function is um. Derivative of v is v1. First function derivative of second plus second function v as it is into derivative of u suffix m. That is, next derivative is um plus 1. This is a simple notations we are using. First function derivative of second function derivative of first. Now differentiate second term. mc1 is constant. This is mc1 as it is. Now again use product rule. First function is um minus 1. Derivative of v1. Next derivative will be v2. Right? Then plus second function is v1. Derivative of first. What is the derivative of um minus 1? Its derivative will be next value. This suffix denote m minus 1 at derivative. When you differentiate once again, you will get m at derivative. So it will be um. So this is um. And so on. Now similarly, we can differentiate third term. mc2 is constant. First function is um minus 2. Derivative of v2. Derivative of v2 is v3. Next suffix is v3. This is the second derivative. And next derivative will be v3 plus second function is v2. And what is the derivative of u suffix m minus 2? Increase this value by 1, u suffix m minus 2 plus 1. No, m minus 2 plus 1 means m plus 1. So this is u, where is the value? Sorry, u m minus 2 plus 1. Minus 2 plus 1 means minus 1. So we get um minus 1. This is um minus 1. And so on. Last we will differentiate with respect to x. So mcm, this is a constant. First function is u. This is a first function into, now use product rule again. First function is u, derivative of vm. Derivative of vm is m plus 1. Then second function is vm into derivative of u is u1. Look at this term. It contains m plus 1 at derivative. So we write this term first. So this is mc0 um plus 1 into v. Write down u first and v in the second place. So um plus 1 v with this coefficient mc0. Now other terms are constant. What are common? What are the common terms? um v1, um v1. um v1 is, where is the term? um v1 is common. Now here coefficient is MC0, this is MC0. Here coefficient is MC1. All right. Next we take these two common. These two are the common terms. Um minus 1 V2 and V2 um minus 1. This is common. Um minus 1 V2 is common. But here coefficient is MC1 and here coefficient is MC2. This is MC1 and MC2. There is a addition, right? And so on. What will be the, so now let us see the last term. Last term is this, containing m plus 1 at derivative. There is only one term containing m plus 1 at derivative. So what is that term? U into Vm plus 1. This is a term. U into Vm plus 1 and its coefficient is MCM. Right? Now which terms are common? This first and second term. First term and this is the second term. First term of the first bracket, second term of the second bracket is common. So if you consider this last bracket, what is a common term? This is the second term of this bracket. It will be common with the first term of the previous bracket. So UMV1, sorry, U1VM. This is U1VM. Now what are the coefficient? Here is MCM. MCM is 1, and what is the coefficient in the previous term? It is MCM minus 1. MCM minus 1. This suffixes of C increases 0, 1, 2, 3. So if it is CM in the previous term, it will be M minus 1. So CM minus 1. So collect the common term. We have collected the common term. First term of every bracket is common with second term in the second bracket. So collect all these terms. We have collected. And this is a single term. VUM plus 1 and UM plus V. These are the UM plus 1 into V. These are the single term. Now look at this bracket. MC0, MC1. What is the result we have written? The result is this. Use this formula NCR minus 1, NCR. Resultant is this upper integer will increase by 1, n plus 1, and lower r minus 1 and r. We select r. So what is the result for MC0 and MC1? See this is m, increase it by 1, so we get m plus 1, and C0 and C1 we select 1. So we get m plus 1, C1. Also we write this as MC0 is 1, m plus 1, C0 is also 1. Whatever is the value here, it is always 1. So we write this as m plus 1, C1. And this is as it is. Right. So how we have simplified it? This is MC0 we have written as MC0 we have written as m plus 1 C0, because both whatever is the value of m here, MC0 is always 1. So write down m plus 1 C0. This term as it is UM plus 1 V. All right. In the next bracket, this is m and n, increase this value by 1. So we get where is the term? This is the term UM plus 1. This is the addition. This is the addition. First term as it is. This is MC0 we have written as m plus 1 C0 and UM plus 1 V as it is. Now second we write the addition of these two terms. So we get m plus 1 C, m plus 1, 0 and 1 we use 1. So m plus 1 C1. In the second, again m is, we increase this value by 1, we get m plus 1, and 1 and 2, so we use 2. And this as it is, um minus 1 v2 as it is. So we are simplifying these brackets. So what is a general bracket? M minus 1 C, M minus 1 and Cm. Here we increase this value by 1, so we get um plus 1. Where is a general term? Um plus 1. All right. So this is not a general term. This is a second term from last. So what is the value? M and M will increase by 1. M minus 1 and M, we use M. This is M plus 1, M plus 1 Cm. Out of these two, we select M. U1 Vm as it is. Um Vm as it is. This is a term. And last term, MCM. So NCN is 1 for any value of n. So we write this as m plus 1, Cm plus 1. So we are simplifying the coefficient only. Coefficient using this rule. NC0 is 1 for any n. So we have used instead of m, we have written m plus 1. Again, NCN is 1 for any n. So MCM we have written as m plus 1, Cm plus 1. And in other brackets, we are using this NCR minus 1, NCR. This addition increase the upper index by 1 and lower index is R. All right, so we have simplified it using the formula for combination. Now, what is the meaning? What is this statement? What is this? What is this statement? It is a Leibniz statement for n equal to m plus 1. Let us see the statement again. What is the statement? I will show you the statement. This is a Leibniz statement. NC0, NC1, NC2 up to NCm. The same statement we get for n equal to m plus 1. And it starts with u suffix n and it ends with u0. So let us see what we have obtained here. What we have obtained here. It begins with m plus 1 instead of n. M plus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3 up to m plus 1. So that means it is a Leibniz statement for n equal to m plus 1. Here u suffix n. Now, but n is m plus 1. So m plus 1, m decrease it by 1, um plus 1, u suffix m, minus 1 and last is 0. So decrease it by 1, finally we get 0. Now here we have v, increase it suffix by 1, so we get v. It is here we have v1, v2, v3 and it increases up to m plus 1. So it suffix of u is m plus 1, it decreases to 0 and what are the suffixes for v? First is 0 and it increases. Here it should be v1. Here we have v1, v1, v2 to vm plus 1. So this is the same statement as Leibniz theorem, but Leibniz theorem, it is a statement for n equal to m plus 1. But we have not obtained it from the Leibniz statement. We have obtained it by differentiating mth derivative. When you differentiate mth derivative of u into v, by differentiating mth derivative, we have obtained m plus 1 at derivative, right? So in this case, we say that whenever mth derivative is given by Leibniz statement, then m plus 1 at derivative can also be obtained. That is, whenever p of m is true, p of m plus 1 is also true, and we have not written directly from the Leibniz book. We have obtained it from mth derivative. So Leibniz principle of mathematical induction says that first value is whenever statement is true for n equal to 1 and p of m implies p of m plus 1. So this is what we have done in the second step. P of m implies p of m plus 1. We have assumed the mth derivative, differentiate it, we have obtained m plus 1 at derivative. We say that p of m implies p of m plus 1. These are the two statements in mathematical induction. And when two states satisfied, the Leibniz theorem is true for all n. So this is a proof. P of m plus 1 is true. So first step P of 1 is true, and second step P of m implies P of m plus 1. So statement is true for all n. So what is the principle of mathematical induction? Show that statement is true for n equal to 1, and second step P of m implies P of m plus 1. That is, whenever take this assumption that mth derivative is given by this expression, differentiate it and obtain the m plus expression for m plus 1th derivative. So P of m implies P of m plus 1. Then by principle of mathematical induction, it is true for all n. So this Leibniz theorem is true for all values of n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, so and so on, for any positive integer. So this is a Leibniz theorem. We will solve example in the next period. So we'll stop here. Mark your attendance.